Hey everyone, welcome back. Okay, let's jump right into this. Today, we've got a truly fascinating explainer lined up for you. We're going to be exploring the profound teachings and writings of the guide Xuefeng, who is the founder of Life Xinyan. Specifically, we're zeroing in on a highly provocative philosophical text of his titled The Best Investment for Life. What we're doing today is really taking a step back from our busy, everyday routines to look at life through a completely different lens. We aren't just going to talk about life as a journey. We're actually going to analyze it as an economic portfolio. According to Xuefeng's teachings, every single day we are making massive investments. The real question is, what kind of returns are we actually getting? Let's unpack this together.
So I want you to take a quick second and silently audit your own life. Really think about it. Where are you currently investing your most valuable capital? Now, when we say capital in the context of this explainer, we absolutely aren't talking about money in the bank or real estate or stock options. We're talking about something way more finite, much more precious, and something that honestly, once it's spent, you can never earn back. The text argues that life is essentially a short trip in the mortal world, and it branches out into vastly different directions based entirely on how we allocate what we were given the second we were born.
According to Life Xinyan values, every single one of us is born with this sort of raw seed capital granted by the greatest creator. We're talking about time, energy, youth, vitality, freedom of consciousness, and health. We all start out with a baseline of this ultimate capital, but here is the absolute crucial point. How we spend these finite resources dictates our final destination. A misstep in where we dump our time or our youth can actually result in some long-lasting regret. We really have to start viewing these assets as our principal investment fund, which means we need to be incredibly strategic about where we're placing them.
So where is everybody putting this precious capital? Well, people tend to blindly dedicate their lives to 8 typical investment projects. You've got the family, religion, the state, national independence, political parties, accumulating wealth, romantic endeavors, and running a business. Most people just pour their youth, their energy, and their health straight into these slices of the pie, just kind of assuming, hey, this is the natural, correct way to live. But Xuefeng challenges this assumption head-on. He's asking us to truly, honestly evaluate if these projects actually deliver on their promises.
All right, let's get into Section 1, the Portfolio Breakdown, auditing the 8 popular investments. We're going to put on our impartial financial advisor hats today and audit these traditional goals.
Let's look at the family first. Xuefeng presents a highly provocative perspective here. While society constantly sings the praises of family life, the text argues that investing all your capital there ultimately brings more pain than pleasure. In fact, it labels families as one of the main sources of personal and social pain. Wow, right? Then when it comes to religion, the Life Xinyan view asserts that traditional religions are just riddled with internal contradictions. The argument here is that unless you become an absolute fanatic or a religious gambler, investing your life's capital into religion will eventually lead you to deep inner confusion rather than giving you clarity.
Continuing this audit, we move into the realm of politics and patriotism. And the text is equally critical here. Investing your life to safeguard the state, well, the text argues this often causes mass suffering for everyday people, while basically only benefiting those already in authority. What about national independence? Xuefeng actually points to historical conflicts to argue that this is an incredibly narrow, divisive investment, one that acts as the root of immense suffering. And political parties? The text bluntly characterizes politics as doing shameful things for honorable reasons. So, from the Life Xinyan perspective, pouring your energy, time, and consciousness into these narrow, tribal projects is just a terrible misallocation of your spiritual capital.
Which brings us to the most common investment of them all, wealth. Now, the text does acknowledge that money is totally necessary for a free life. Living without it is definitely hard, but it warns of a severe spiritual risk. To punctuate this, Xuefeng cites a famous quote from Jesus Christ. It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. The text explains that making wealth your primary investment will literally twist your soul. It breeds greed. It argues that the more money people accumulate, the uglier their souls become, using occasional acts of generosity just as a smokescreen to consolidate their wealth. So, financially, sure, you might be rich, but philosophically and spiritually, your portfolio is completely bankrupt.
Okay, what about love? Well, investing your life into romantic endeavors is seen by the text as a high-risk, blind gamble.
Why? Because, as Xu Feng argues, people are inherently untrustworthy when you compare them to the reliability of your own inner beliefs, values, and strengths. If you're relying entirely on another mortal person to bring you ultimate happiness, joy, and freedom, you are placing your finite capital into a highly volatile asset. It's a blind luck mentality that takes the control right out of your own hands.
You see, there's this fundamental trap we all fall into, confusing the means with the purpose. The text says that investing in a business or chasing success is a perfectly fine means to an end. But the ultimate purpose? That is happiness, joy, freedom, and elevating your life to heaven. The ultimate tragedy, Xu Feng warns us, is putting the cart before the horse. If you spend all your life's precious capital on the means and totally forget the purpose, you're going to reach the end of your life having completely missed the entire point of the journey.
And that brings us to Section 2, the ultimate reveal, the best investment. We've systematically audited and basically bankrupted all those typical societal investments. So, what exactly is the best investment?
Xu Feng uses this beautiful, really poetic metaphor to explain how we arrive at the right answer. First, just like we've done, you audit the popular investments. Second, you clear away the impurities, those faulty, draining projects that eat up your capital without giving you ultimate joy. And third is the result. Once you eliminate the faulty investments one by one, the best one becomes crystal clear at a glance. It's literally like clearing muck and impurities from a pool of water until it naturally sparkles, perfectly clean, reflecting the sun, the moon, the stars, and the entire universe.
So here it is. The best investment is trekking toward the highest realms of life, and that's life, capital L-I-F-E, to make your daily existence happy, joyous, free, and blessed. That is the core Life Shanyuan ideal. It means investing your capital exclusively into upgrading your spiritual quality and maintaining daily joy, without getting sidetracked or trapped by worldly distractions. When you actually know this is your goal, your life gets clear, your mind gets clear, and suddenly your daily actions align perfectly with your ultimate purpose.
And what's the return on this optimal investment? Where does this specific travel route actually lead? Well, this spiritual investment prepares you to arrive at spectacular, heavenly final destinations. The text talks about the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium celestial island continent. By focusing your capital entirely on happiness, freedom, and the highest realms of existence, you ensure that the end of your mortal journey isn't just a dead end, but a transition into these extraordinary realms.
But, we really do have to bring the emotional resonance back to reality for a moment, because this entire explainer is ultimately rooted in a very stark warning from the source text. Avoid the tragedy of the setting sun. Xu Feng paints a super sobering picture of what happens if you choose the wrong route. When the sun begins to set on your life, when your time, energy, and youth are entirely depleted, if your portfolio is bankrupt, the resulting desolation is just profound. The text describes dried tears, last breaths, and this agonizing realization that there is absolutely no way to go back and start over. It's a pathos that every single one of us wants to avoid. Which leaves us with this final, lingering thought. Are you ready to reallocate your capital before the sun sets on your life? We've explored some highly unconventional truths today and definitely challenged the very foundations of what society tells us is important. But remember, as Xu Feng points out, the greatest creator gave you this capital, and you alone are the portfolio manager of your existence. What are you going to invest in tomorrow morning? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this deep dive into Life Shanyuan philosophy has sparked your curiosity and given you a powerful new framework for analyzing your own life's journey. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.